watching the Knox Pages.
You are watching the Knox Pages.
You are watching the Knox Pages Game of the Week.
All right, welcome to this week's edition of the Knox Pages Game of the Week. My name is Grant Pepper. I'm here in Fredericktown with Coach Beau Wolford and senior quarterback Terry Fearn are here with the Freddies. Guys, thanks for joining me this week. So Fredericktown's about to get going week 3 versus Utica. Before we get to that game in our game of the week, we'll talk a little about the first 2 weeks of the season. Coach, for your Freddies, it was a little of a rough go the first 2 weeks, losses to Clear Fork and Madison Plains. So kind of tell me, you know, we talked about your first 2 games before the season against, you know, really good opponents from last year, 12-win team in Clear Fork. How did you kind of evaluate those first 2 weeks for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately we played some really good opponents, not just in season, but preseason we played some really good opponents up front, and that was, ultimately out of season that was our plan. We wanted our kids to be exposed to some really good talent and get us some experience, and at this point, our guys have got to learn on the fly, and we got to make sure we're growing each and every week and working towards success. And so we're going to start entering league play. Still a lot of good football teams in our league, but I think that for the most part we can be pretty competitive against most of those teams that we're going to play and face moving forward. And so our guys just, each week we got to work to get better and improve what we do. So.
When you look at the offense, you obviously flipped the script this year from a scheme standpoint, went from the spread to the wing tee, and kind of tell me what's been most challenging about that transition. What have teams kind of taken away from that so far, and what are some things you guys are looking to do to sharpen the offensive attack, I guess, moving forward?
Yeah, again, thinking back, postseason last year, preseason this year, we knew we had lost some receivers. We knew that our offensive line was going to be a little bit more undersized, and so we needed to find a way to make that work for us. And so the wing tee did that. As with installing any new offense, you're going to have your ups and downs and lumps that you're going to take, and some learning curves. But so far, our guys are working really hard, and I know that they're focusing each week to try to get better, and so that's just that's where we're at the moment, just working each week to get better, and looking forward to our next opponent.
And for you, Terry, obviously the quarterback of this offense, and kind of tell me, you guys have had a couple slow starts here, down 21-0 in Clear Fork, and then 18-0 last week. So, especially with the offense you guys run, kind of tell me about how challenging it is to get into a hole like that, and maybe how that impacted the rest of these last couple games.
Well, with the wing tee, we're trying to pound the ball, run it down the defense's throats, and then pass it when they're not expecting it. And we're trying to slow the game down, play to our speed, and the past couple games, we've really shot ourselves in the foot and gotten down. It hasn't really been due to our talents. It's more of us committing mental errors and fumbling and giving up big plays. So if we can get ahead and then run our offense and take control of the game, we'd be in a lot better spot.
Coach, on the defensive side of the ball, hasn't been easy either. A couple really good teams you faced, and so against Clear Fork, it was more the pass. Last week, more the run. Kind of tell me what you've seen defensively from your team on film and what you're hoping to improve this week.
Yeah, defensively, each week it's about, okay, so where are our best matchups versus some of their players, and where do we maybe not match up so well? How do we make some adjustments? Obviously Clear Fork had a tremendous amount of speed. A ton of guys on their roster that run in the sub-5s. Right. So we needed to do some things to match up better and keep things under us. Unfortunately, that left us with some holes underneath. Ultimately in that game, we needed to do a better job of maintaining them offensively and putting ourselves in a position to be competitive in the fourth quarter. And last week we had way too many errors. To allow an opening kickoff back for a touchdown, to allow some of those big plays defensively that ultimately led in some changing scores. Offensively driving the ball and then creating a turnover down in our own red zone and things. Those are things you just can't do to win ball games, and so we've got to work to cut those things out.
So we'll get ahead to this week's matchup, the game of the week, Fredericktown, Utica. Coach, this is the team in Utica that's also 0-2. Tell me what you've seen from them on film so far.
They have some big kids and some good size, and all I really can say, I've told our kids, if we come prepared to play, it's going to be a dogfight. We're going to have a good night. If we don't, it's going to be one of those nights that we're going to have to scratch and claw to find our way to be in the winning column at the end. And I think our kids are going to be ready. I think they're ready and they're itching and they're ready to get a win. And but at the end of the day, we got to show up on Friday night and play Fredericktown football and do what we know how to do. So.
Redskins are led offensively by quarterback Colin McCullough, and from what on paper it seems like he's a little bit of a dual threat quarterback. What do you see from him? How do you plan on stopping him Friday?
Yeah, he's definitely a shifty guy. He's probably one of their biggest threats offensively. Again, making sure that we contain him in the pocket and making sure we always know where he is in terms of the drop back game. We've just got to make sure that he's accounted for at all times, and he seems to make things happen when you least expect it. Be bottled up and make some things happen. So we just got to do a really good job of making sure we account for him wherever he is on the field.
And then offensively for you guys, what are some things you'll need to do so we can turn the corner and get better results on that side of the ball?
We got to, again, I mean, this is, I said this week in, week out, we have to establish the line of scrimmage. We've struggled to do that the last couple weeks against a couple good opponents. We have to establish the line of scrimmage. Offensive line wise, we have to be able to reset the offensive line of scrimmage into the defense's backfield, and we haven't done that yet. So we're looking forward to as coaches and obviously offensively to be able to establish that line of scrimmage and get things rolling offensively.
Now, Terry, you guys lost these guys last year, 38-22, and from what I remember, it was tied at 14 after one quarter. I think you scored both the touchdowns for you guys in that quarter. Things slipped away late, so kind of tell me what you recall from that game last year.
Well, I'd say it was a similar position last year. I'd say we were very even in skill, and it was a game that could have went either way. And I think the reason we lost that game is because of the same reason we've lost these two games early this season, is just committing mental errors. And I think if we can control the line of scrimmage, like Coach said, I think we'll win. And we just have to get better and just not continue to do the same things that we keep doing.
Yeah, you guys will begin conference play after this, so how important is it for you guys to get in the win column on Friday and kind of boost your momentum? You still have 8 weeks left this season.
If we could get a win, that'd be huge, because obviously no one likes to lose, especially in football. So if we can get our first win in conference play, that'd get everyone's morale up, and then that would carry into the rest of the season and get us in a good spot.
All right, well, that's been this week's edition of Knox Pages Game of the Week. Thanks, guys, for joining me, and good luck Friday.
Appreciate it.
All right. You can catch the Fredericktown Freddies at Utica on Friday night. They'll kick off at 7 p.m. Again, thanks for watching. This was Knox Pages Game of the Week. Enjoy week 3, and we'll see you next week.